Kamen Rider Zi-O.
Hey YouTube, Kamen Rider here. Welcome to my review for Kamen Rider Zi-O Episode 5. So this was the Fourze tribute slash the beginnings of like a Faiz tribute episode. I actually quite like this episode. Not that I've been absolutely hating the previous episodes, and I still think the series is kind of a little bit of a mess overall, but I like this episode because it shook things up. It's weird to say that because we're 5 episodes in. We've only had 2 little arcs in the quote-unquote status quo. The status quote of this, where we did X8 and build and kind of established that formula. But it was a little bit different this week. I'm sure behind the scenes it was because of like who they could get for cameos. Like these last 2 arcs, it was probably easier to set up a more traditional structure because it's like, okay, we got 2 of the main actors back for X8, 2 of them back for build. We can do a 2-parter. I didn't mind that because I liked that we had 2 episodes with them while they had the actors. But with this one, the only actor we were able to get back for Fourze was the teacher guy with the facial expressions. And the closest we got to cameos from the core cast was we got a stand-in of the back of Gintaro's head like last week. I think whoever they got for the suit acting voice either was recycled clips or sounded very close to him. A little echoey, but at least in my mind it sounded close to him. But then we got to see pictures of the old school Kamen Rider Club of, you know, Gintaro and Ryusei and the old gang. And it's really funny because I almost forgot. I was almost thinking Decade logic if they're traveling to the worlds because I forgot, like, oh yeah, this is in the future, so like there's a version of the Kamen Rider Club in like a, just a classroom. It's not the Rabbit Hutch. I was trying to remember, did the Rabbit Hutch get destroyed? I feel like I'm confusing with Power Ranger seasons when they destroyed the base, but I was thinking how I'm a little bit disappointed that we're not getting to see more of their bases. Like, obviously build was pretty easy to do since the coffee shop was probably the set or whatever they used for it was still accessible. So we got to see that. We obviously didn't get to see their base, but the coffee shop was, you know, iconic enough. And it would probably cost a lot. But at the same time, it would be super cool. It would have been super cool to have seen, you know, the CR headquarters last week, or to see a version of the Rabbit Hutch. What are they called, the Rabbit Hutch? But, you know, Fourze's base. That would have been cool to see. But yeah, so, and they tried to tie into Fourze with the themes of friendship. Basically, Sogo's worried about getting friends, like, you know, he sees like people at school talking about friends and he starts thinking about that. And so it's very it's not forced, but like obvious. But I have to say, I do kind of like how they try to tie some of the stuff into the themes of the show. Like, this was about friendship with Fourze, and last week they highlighted Eji's care for the patient. I forgot to mention that. Eji. M's care. Eji's O. Sorry, O's on the brain, I guess. But yeah. But so it was a little bit of a quicker paced one because we don't have the main actor, so we kind of glossed through everything quickly. And this is I have 2 funny points. One of them is, like, the case of the week is these girls disappearing because another Fourze is kidnapping them. And it's really funny that, like, that's a bad thing, obviously. My first thought was, oh good, this guy's actually doing something, because it's been kind of a joke that when another rider gets created in the past, they just kind of wander aimlessly, like kind of vaguely bothering citizens. But this one, there was actually something that was happening, which I thought was actually kind of interesting. But yeah, so that happened, and you know, we kind of go through a faster version of usual. Gintaro at one point he left the ride watch with the Rider Club to give to Sogo. Sogo does Fourze. I really like the Fourze form. I like it quite a lot. And it does like the rocket finisher, but then plot twist, after they destroy him, it crumbles into Faiz, and you know, that was obviously hinted at or known if you follow the spoilers, or the fact that the Faiz characters, I believe it was Kaiza that was pushing someone off a roof, classic him, but they were like running around in this episode, and then they showed up at the end, and I really liked the way it was done, right when they're like, the day is saved, and they're like, oh no, and like another Fourze crumbles into another Faiz, and right when that happens, you get the fight between the 2 hooded figures, and he's talking to me, he's like, surprise bench, bet you didn't know it was me. I thought that was well done. I liked that, and you know, for whatever reason they decided to do this structure-wise because of the actors, I like that it shook things up a little bit, and in fact, even when they get main actors back, I kind of hope they shake up the formula, and instead of just doing, okay, we're doing X8 now, like what if we get, I know we're not getting, you know, main wizard, as far as we know, like right now. Like, we didn't get Gintaro, but who knows, maybe later down the line we could get some of these people appearing later in non-tributes. I don't want to rule that out, just because remember Decade when Kazuma, like real Kazuma, just all of a sudden showed up in the last quarter. So who knows? But what I'm saying is, like, just to throw one out there, because I don't, just for an example, I'm not saying we're gonna get this person, but let's say we do Kiva, and even if we get Wataru's actor back, what if all of a sudden Blade did show up? Like, I think that would be interesting, and I like that it kind of shook things up, and it's cool to get both people from Faiz back. It's really funny, I saw two main reactions to this. One was like, I can't believe they undercut the seriousness of Faiz with Fourze's friendship. I'm like, oh my god. And the other one was like, oh, it's actually kind of cool, because it, like, friendship, you know, devolves or something into miscommunication, which was Faiz's thing. So I don't know. I like that one better, but I didn't even think about, this is a crossover season, man. They're all blending together. I wouldn't even worry about them undercutting each other's serious tones. But I like that it shook things up a little bit. My other funny point was, there was a conversation, we're introduced to a new time jacker, a bigger one. Literally, I think both in rank and in size, named Schwartz. He looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Antagonist. I think he would go perfectly with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Side characters from last season. But he was talking to what are their names? Like Wallace and Gromit? I don't remember their names. Anyway, the other time jackers, we have Wool and something else. Woolly Mammoth, whatever. He's talking to them about how, oh man, the timeline's not changing from Omagio, we need to step it up. And I find it funny that the villains of this season are more concerned at this moment that the timeline is not changing and we're still on course to Omagio than the protagonists, who, as I mentioned last week, are just kind of gleefully going along, and Gio is following Waz's advice way too much. But I just found that kind of funny. Like I keep waiting for a moment where they're like, okay, even though we're helping people, we seem to still be on track to Omagio, how can we change this? And yet it's the time jackers that are more concerned. I found that funny. But yeah, I thought this was a solid episode. I like that it shook things up a little bit. I'm looking forward to potentially more shake-ups and seeing, you know, the Faiz stuff happen next week. So I'd give this one a 7.5. I found it to be pretty enjoyable. The subbed 0.5 wasn't up for me yet, so I didn't get to see it as of this recording, but, you know, I will watch it. But yeah, anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get the notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.